Hi, mamas. Welcome back to Emotionally Healthy Legacy. My name is Elizabeth, and I am a mom of 4 kids. I have 3 boys and a baby girl. My goal here is to help you reduce stress in your brain so that way you are more patient and calm with your children. I know how hard it is to be patient with your kids, especially when you are running on empty and you're so overwhelmed and stressed out. That's why I really want to teach you ways that you can reduce stress in your brain, reduce stress in your nervous system so that you can be more present and patient with your kids, so then that you can meet their emotional needs and be the mom that you want to be with your children. Hi, Mama. If you've been enjoying listening to the episodes here and you want to connect more with me, I would ask you to go on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. And I am under Emotionally Healthy Legacy. Also, if you want to work with me, I have 2 options. I have one-on-one coaching, and we go deep and we personalize exactly the things that you're struggling with and ways we can improve your life and move the needle forward. I also have a membership for moms. That one is only $39 a month, and we get to focus on one topic a month. We meet twice a month via Zoom. We support each other. We encourage each other. I check in with you. We have accountability. You are a lot more likely to implement things in your life when you have accountability and you show up for it even every other week. So if you want to learn more about this, the details are in the show notes below, and I would love to have you there. I would love for you to be in this community. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm good at, and I am so excited to have you be part of it. Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Emotionally Healthy Legacy. Today I have a special guest for us. Her name is Juliana, and Juliana is a homeschooling mom. She's also the sole breadwinner of her family. She owns several businesses, and so we'll be talking all about stress management when it comes to working from home as a mom and all the things that come with it, and ways that she's been doing it for 7 years, and things that she learned along the way that have been helpful for her not to burn out and get super overwhelmed. So she really is good at simplifying things. That's what she's good at, and that's what she teaches other people who have Etsy shops and Amazon shops. So here we go, friends. Let's welcome Juliana, and I'm so glad to have this conversation with her. Hi, Juliana. Welcome to Emotional Healthy Legacy podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. We also have a little guest here next to us who might be part of the conversation.
Yes.
To involve my little Nelly. So
getting all the baby fever here.
Yes. I'm so glad that you're here. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, about your life, and we'll be talking about managing stress as a mom, a homeschooler mom, and a mom who works from home. That's going to be kind of like our topic for today. So introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your businesses, about your kiddos, and kind of how things are going right now.
Yeah. So yes, my name is Juliana. I own multiple businesses, and I am the sole breadwinner for the family. So I have a lot of weight on my shoulders. It's very stressful. I have 2 kids. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. I like to call my kids spicy, and they're spicy in different ways. Like one of them, it's kind of like taking a bite out of a habanero pepper, like it just hits you like in your face as soon as you bite into it. And the other one just kind of creeps in very slowly, but yeah, they're both very spicy kids, very spirited kids. And yeah, my husband, he is the one who does most of the taking care of the kids. Like he's the one, like right now for this interview, he took them out to the park so that I could get this done. But it's just him and I, we live in North Florida. We have no family near us. We found a babysitter, and after 2 days working for us, she found out that her boyfriend was moving to another state. So that was that. So it's just him and I. Yeah, it's just been pretty much him and I for as long as we have known like each other. our story of how we met, it's a little out there. So I went backpacking in Europe and I met my husband. He's Italian. I met him in Rome. It was, kind of love at first sight. And then he, after I was done with my trip, I came back to the US. He came here to visit me. And while he was visiting me, he impregnated me. So then everything happened super fast, and he went from being here like on a tourist visa to now we know we have to get married because I'm pregnant, and everything, like our entire life just was always go, 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 go. Our life has never really stopped. But, it's obviously working out great. We have two kids, maybe, we're thinking about the third one, and I own, like I said, multiple businesses. And yeah, that's just been our life. Very hectic, crazy
Yeah,
life.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about your businesses.
Okay,
What are
yeah.
they?
So I own an Amazon store. I own an Etsy shop. I run a podcast. And in that podcast, I help moms launch their own e-commerce businesses. And then my most recent business endeavor, which is the one I'm most excited about, is that I launched a podcast management company because I had such amazing success with my podcast. I was able to launch courses and book coaching all through the podcast. And I really figured out what it takes to really grow a money-making podcast. So that's the one that it's the most recent baby, and I'm really excited about that one. It's the one that right now it's super hands-on. But yeah, those are all the businesses that I run for now.
You're impressive. That it just inspires me. So you probably might not be highly sensitive, because I'm highly sensitive and I get overwhelmed really quickly. So for me, like listening to like what you're saying, I'm like, it's inspiring, but I'm like, I don't know, I couldn't do that, because for me, like that would become really overwhelming. And it is a lot, right? Like it's a lot to manage for businesses, right? You're running 4 different things and you're the one who is running it. Your husband stays home and helps with the kids. How do you do it? Okay, that's that's the big question. Like, can you tell us a little bit about, like, do you have to organize your day? How, like, one day you work on one business, like, how do you do it?
Yeah, so let me just say that I do have complex PTSD. My childhood was like one huge traumatic event, and I've had to work a lot on myself. So nothing like motherhood to really like wake you up, right? Because when I was pregnant, I was, reading books and all these things, and one thing led to another. We found out about Montessori, and then through there we fell into attachment parenting before we really found out about attachment theory and all that. But it was through my pregnancy, my first pregnancy, that I was like, wow, I have some issues. So then when my daughter was 1.5 years, I started working with a therapist. And I'm still working with a therapist. So there's a lot that I do on the back end to make sure that I'm a functioning person. I would say that I'm very sensitive. I have found ways to deal with everything just because, I kind of have to, right? Like, the social contract that I made with my husband is going to make the money, and he's going to be the one taking care of the kids. So on a day-to-day basis, there's quite a bit that I do to make sure that I'm present. I wake up and I meditate, and then I tap, and then I just make sure that I have time for myself to listen to a podcast or read a book or something. So on a perfect day, I wake up at 5 a.m. Now, it probably can hear my voice that I'm sounding a little bit stuffy, so I'm got a bug. I don't know, I'm sick. And during this time, I'm just sleeping in and life is good. It's okay. And I'm allowing my body to do what it has to do so I can heal. But normally, that's my routine, waking up at 5 and taking care of myself. And then before bed,
I just want to say I love that, because I get up in the mornings before my kids. And when I do like meditation in the mornings, like my day just like so much better. Like I'm just so much more grounded, like 100%.
Yes, it really is a life changer. And, it was, again, like, because I have the complex PTSD, for me to just sit here in quiet for, 10 minutes, it's really difficult for me because my brain is just always looking for the danger everywhere, like subconsciously, like something's out to get me at all times, but I've been practicing for probably 5 months religiously, and it has really helped me out so much. And then before bed, I'll do like this little hypnosis session that I do before bed, and that's really super helpful too. Yeah, and then I like to incorporate journaling here and there as well. I would like to do that daily, but I honestly forget. I have put my journal in the bathroom. I have put my journal in the bed next to me, next to my computer when I work, and I like do not see my journal. It's just like, I don't know. It's journal blindness, but it's something that I'm working towards doing it daily. But yeah, those are the things that I do. And then making sure that, like for example, in the morning, I like to drink my matcha, or I like to drink my dandy coffee, whatever. And just like doing those things for myself, it just makes me feel so whole. It is like the smallest things that I do that are like, okay, if I do this, I'm good to go. And then, we can talk about like making my bed. Like it's the simplest thing, but like making my bed is super helpful. And getting out of my pajamas, even if I get out of my PJs and I put on like yoga pants, like it's okay, but like getting out of my PJs like helps and puts me
Yeah,
in a
like mentally, completely,
yeah,
like
totally.
shifts the day. Actually, I made a reel today and I released it, and it's like, okay, I'm ready to change my life. And then it says, get up in the morning before your kids, and the person's like, I'm not going to do that. And it's like deep breathing and meditate. Yeah, I'm not going to do that either. Journal. Yeah, not doing that. And so it's like you're practicing all these practices that um, are like, I've read and I've listened so much about all these people who are successful, people that are impact the world, people that make a change. All of them implement these things, right? They all meditate. They all, like, I've recently learned about tapping, and I started doing that in the last month. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a whole new thing that I'm like really getting into. Like to process my emotions. I journal on a regular basis as well, having that stillness and like quiet in the morning. Like I cannot do well if I wake up and I just run into like the day, like jump into reactive mode. It's like I feel already 10 steps behind. I don't know. Like my day feels just so much more crazy in my head, even if it's not. Like versus me getting up before my kids and using some of that time to just literally sit there and just do some breathing with my eyes closed. I sometimes visualize myself like on a very like calm beach. Sometimes I say affirmations. Sometimes I say things I'm grateful for. And like, my day can still go crazy after that, but I feel like I have a much higher tolerance for all those things, and I'm less reactive, like emotionally, to all those things if I set myself up for success. So like, I'm so glad that you're saying that, because I think it's so important. All of those strategies, by the way, have studies and studies to show that they reduce the stress, like the mental stress load, and how powerful and helpful they are actually for us to like calm our nervous system down and just ground us.
Absolutely. And, I didn't start off like this, obviously. It's been a lot of trial and error. And I know for me, one thing, and I like to consider myself very self-aware. And one thing that I'm realizing lately is that the more I resist something, the more I should do it. Like the other day, something had happened and I was just feeling rejected, like really deeply. And something inside of me was telling me to tap, to find a tapping meditation. And I was like, no, I don't want to tap. I'm not going to tap. It's not going to work. I'm not going to tap. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And I did. And it was just like, I released all those emotions that were trapped inside of me. So I find that tapping has been so helpful. I wish I had known about tapping like 10 years ago, but tapping has been super helpful. And then another thing that I'm doing as well, once a week, I see an acupuncturist, and that too has been really great. And I finally found somebody who understands like the mind, body, soul connection. And like, she'll tell me like, as soon as I come in, let me see your tongue. And she can tell me like the kind of day I'm having just by looking at my tongue. And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you're magical. But, just doing those things and taking the time, which, when I first had my daughter, I thought I had to do it all. And I remember one time that I really needed a break, and I didn't know how to ask my husband. I felt so much shame because I was a mom and I was supposed to take care of her. Like, I shouldn't be tired, And the roles were reversed back then. I was the stay-at-home parent and my husband was going out and working. So then anyway, my husband takes her out and we're in a family chat with his family. And then he does like this little video, kind of like a vlog style, like, I'm here and I'm taking the baby out because Juliana really needed a break. And I'm like, how dare you tell your family I needed a break? What are they going to think of me? And I was just like this crazy person where nowadays I'm like, take the kids. It's all good. Just go. I need a break. It's fine. Everything's fine. So it didn't start off like this. It was definitely an evolution of understanding that it's okay for you to have time off and ask for help and take a break.
Okay, so let's touch on that a little bit more because that is so such a struggle that a lot of moms deal with, asking for help and feeling guilty for taking a break. So how did you get past that? Because like for me personally, I never really struggled asking for help. I've always kind of leaned towards, I'm like, if I can ask someone to help and like reduce some of the overload that I'm dealing with, like, yes, please. Like, I never struggled with asking my husband for help. Be like, hey, can you come home earlier? Hey, can you take the kids? Like, never really struggled with like, oh, I need alone time just to recharge. I've just learned more about myself recently that I am an introvert, that I am highly sensitive. And in order for me to recharge and to show up better, I have to have alone time. I'm not a great mom if I don't have alone time. So I've learned that about myself. But how about you? Like, since you struggle asking for help, like, what was the mindset before that? And then how did you shift to the new mindset and like overcome like, the guilt that comes with, wanting time to yourself?
Yeah. So the root of all of this really honestly came from my mom, because my mom would be the one to shame me, because, oh, you always wanted a baby. Now you have a baby. Now take care of the baby. Or if I would take time off, she would say something like, what are you doing? Take a break. Go clean the house. Like my own mother would. And I don't think she meant it. Sometimes she would say like jokingly, but still like she didn't understand what she was doing to me. So I know where that was coming from. And, I don't know if everybody is able to, go inwards and find out like the root cause of the shame, where is that coming from? But it was definitely, it wasn't until my daughter was 1.5 years that I was like, okay, I need to ask for help. I need to rest and everything is okay. And the person who normalized this for me was actually my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law lives in Italy and she would come and visit us, once every few months or so. And she was the one who was like, when my mother-in-law was visiting, she would take my daughter and just say, go to sleep, go rest. I got this. So my mother-in-law, thank God.
So sweet.
Oh my gosh. My mother-in-law is amazing. And I'm super grateful for her because she was the one who normalized it all and was able to kind of guide my husband into like, hey, like she needs help, take some of the load off of her shoulder. So thank God for my mother-in-law. And also, it was around the time also that I started going to therapy, and my therapist was like, okay, it doesn't have to be, 50-50 where you do 50% of raising your daughter and then your husband does the other 50. It's never going to look like that. It might be 70-30, it might be 60-40, whatever it is, but you guys need to come into an agreement of, okay, I do this better and you do this better. And like, let's split the chores, and it can be the littlest things like, okay, laundry and I'll wash the dishes and somebody does the bathroom, and like just kind of dividing the tasks and like going that route, which kind of eased up, me just feeling like I had to take care of everything in the house. And then little by little, just letting my husband just take my daughter and knowing that they were fine, that they were okay, and that bond was very important for her and for him as well, and like husbands, they're like, quote unquote rougher with the kids, they do things that as mom are like, I don't even want to know, like throwing the kids up in the air and doing things like that. But those are super important for the kid as well, so understanding that is super important for the child. It was definitely helpful and for me to letting it go. And, I think it was in the more recent years that, my husband was just like, I'm just taking the kids. Like he wouldn't even ask, would just like take the kids and go away. And peace and love, and the rest is history. No, but it was definitely an evolution. It didn't happen overnight for sure.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad to like hear the backstory about like how, it changed your mindset and how the more you started to implement it, you saw the change, right? Can you tell me how you felt when you didn't get a break, when you felt burned out, when, and obviously mom guilt, like how were you internally feeling? How was that affecting your family, like your relationship with your husband, right? Because like if we feel internally just not well, right? If we're burned out, if we're overwhelmed, if we're just like not in a good place, it comes out in our behavior and it affects our family, right? So how did you used to feel? And how do you notice the change, how you feel now? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I remember feeling a lot of shame, and I didn't know what it was back then, but it was definitely shame. I felt super lonely, like nobody could understand what I was going through. I felt like I couldn't reach out to anybody because I wasn't supposed to be complaining about anything. Like it was just, I had it all together. Like I had the husband, I had the baby, I was staying home, with her. Like how could I complain? So yeah, it was just, I just remember that feeling of loneliness and helplessness and hopelessness of like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And of course, like the mom guilt, because I'm feeling bad to begin with. Like I'm not even supposed to be feeling this way. And all these things, all the stories that I'm telling myself, like all on my own. So yeah, it wasn't a good place to be. And I was exhausted. I was just so exhausted. And just home alone with a baby all day long.
Yeah. Did you notice it like come out in your behavior in negative ways? Were you more agitated? Were you more snappy?
Yeah, for sure.
I want to be part of this conversation.
Yes.
We're talking about babies here, so.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely remember just having a harder time. And it's weird because when I look back at some of the memories, like some of the pictures, I don't remember any of it because I was just so exhausted. And it hurts me to this day because, like there was like an entire phase of my kid's childhood that I don't remember because I wasn't present for it. I was just so tired. I was so exhausted, like spiritually in my body, like everywhere. I was just so exhausted, so depleted.
So if you could go back, was it 6 years ago? Your oldest son is 6. What would you tell your younger self? Like,
girl, ask for help. Ask for help, like ask away. That's definitely what I would have done. Ask for help as soon as possible. You don't have to do it all by yourself. We literally had tribes,
Yeah. And it's not a weakness, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think the thing that's holding people back oftentimes is like they believe it's a weakness to ask for help. Like it means I'm a worse, a worse mom or something, like
Yeah.
I'm not cut out for this if I'm asking for help. Like whatever it is, that's usually what's holding people back often. And I think also your mom's comments were not as helpful, right? Like they were making the situation worse. Like my mom is a wonderful woman, but she struggles with it and she admits it. She has a hard time taking breaks. She always feels like she has to be productive. If she's sitting down and resting, she feels like she's wasting time. She's constantly multitasking. Like, she cannot just sit there and be. It's just like because that's how her mom was. And I really struggled with that for a longer period of time until like recently I've learned to like give myself space to just be. Like even meditation, it felt like a waste of time because I wasn't doing anything productive. And if you're obviously constantly doing things without taking a break, you will burn out, right? If it's not gonna affect you mentally, it's gonna affect you physically eventually, And and like for me personally, if I am like either like overwhelmed or stressed, now I have so many strategies that I use that I don't typically get to that point. But even if I get closer to that, I notice that it's coming out in my tone and my like how I'm more rude and maybe snappy with my kids and just more easily agitated and frustrated. And that's not how I want my kids to remember me. Like, I
Right.
want them to remember me as loving and just warm and accepting, and just like, yeah, I can have my hard days. I can, cry or break down, but not a mom who's yelling and screaming
Right.
just because she's so overwhelmed because she's having a hard time asking for help, right?
Yes, totally. And also, like, just think, if whether you have a son or a daughter, the day that your child has a baby, you're going to help them. You're going to be there for them 100%. And if it's your daughter, you're going to give her a break and tell her to go rest. And if it's your son, you're going to tell your daughter-in-law, like, just go rest. I got this, So you wouldn't, like, everything that you do from here on out, your kids are observing, and that's what they think is normal. So if they think it's normal not to ask for help, that's why you're teaching them. Like, it's not what you mean to do, but that's what you're teaching them. So it's important that they know that it's okay to ask for help, because we're not meant to do it alone.
Yes. And if you try to do it alone, what happens? You stress yourself out, you get burned out, you become overwhelmed, and it comes out negatively into your relationships. It negatively affects your mental health or your physical health, right? It will have its ripple effect. Eventually it's going to build up to that, and it's going to have a negative kind of impact, right? So thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Yeah, thank you so much. Just another thing before we go, can you maybe say a few things that you do in your life to simplify things? Like maybe in your business, maybe in your home life, something that you simplify just so things are less stressful. It could be something practical, like with meals. It could be something with like anything that you do to reduce some of that stress.
Absolutely. So I am the queen of simplifying and optimizing, for sure. So I like to look at the areas of my life that are stressing me out, that it's just not going well, and that's where I go first.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, a couple of months ago, my husband and I were having a hard time just making the homeschooling and the work happen. It was because we didn't start off homeschooling. We just recently took our kids out of school. Well, maybe like 7 months ago, but it was new to us. We're like, how we're going to make this work. So then what we found out was working for us back then was going to the park. So then we'd pack up our food, our laptops, the hotspot, and go to the park and just stay there, for as long as we could. So that was really helpful. Now we're in a better place that we get everything, and I'm able to stay home and work, and, the kids do whatever they want to do. And that's all good and fine. But recently, one area that was like really stressing me out was dinner, because I know my best hours are in the morning. And, I work from 9 to 1. Those are the hours that I just need to be like super hands-on with my work. That's when I have the most energy. And then as the day goes by, I have less and less and less energy to pour from. So dinner was really stressful. So I was like, okay, this needs to change. So I was like, every day is going to be like an emergency dinner day. So I have like things that are still okay with me, because, we eat an organic, 100% plant-based diet. So it still needs to meet my needs, but there are things that are not taking me more than like 20 minutes to make. So, I'm making quesadillas for dinner. I am making like hummus sandwiches for dinner. If it's a day that I'm like completely exhausted, we're eating Amy's frozen pizza, and that's okay. So like things like that have really been helpful to me. Just simplifying everything. I'm a minimalist, so not to the sense where I have nothing in my house and my house echoes, but I have what's essential for me, and that's it. I don't have closets and closets full of things, toys everywhere. My kids are super creative because of that. As a matter of fact, I got my daughter for Christmas a dollhouse. She never played with it. I had to return it because it was just sitting there, this big bulky thing. She just didn't play with it. And it's because, they'll play with the pillows, and it's because of the lifestyle, so that's super helpful too, just adopting a more minimalist lifestyle. And just always optimizing things. Like if something is stressing you out, what is it? I just rearranged our routine so that every day after dinner and before we read the books, we need to clean up the house. Everybody as a family, we're all cleaning up the house. And if the kids don't want to help, they know that the consequence is that we're going to read less books, so it's a natural consequence. If they help, and now they're motivated to help, and I'm not sitting here like upset, like you guys never clean. I'm always cleaning all the the stuff, So, that has also been a game changer. And getting routines everywhere. So making sure like in the morning when the kids wake up, they know that the routine is to brush their teeth, brush their hair, make their bed, So it all becomes part of the routine as much as possible, and like involving things in the routine and making it part of life. I really think it simplifies everything.
Yes. Thank you so much. Those were helpful. I had to mute myself because she's like making a bunch of noise. Well, thank you so much. This was really, really helpful. And I really enjoyed this conversation. And I know there's going to be moms that will get benefit out of it. So thank you so much, Juliana, for showing up, for being here. Where can our listeners find you?
So the best place, if you like to listen to anything about business related, my podcast is called The Fruitful Mama, and I do show up there once a month, and I give like my hacks on like the things that I did that month that really helped me tackle motherhood and business. So that again is The Fruitful Mama podcast. And you can hang out with me on Instagram, Juliana.Barbati. I'm not an Instagram person per se. Like I'm always there, but I'm not posting, but I'm always there. Like I'm stalking people in the 5 free minutes that I have. But yeah, I'm not posting, but I'm there. So you can message me there, connect with me that way too.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much for being here. Really
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
If you enjoy this podcast, I would love to ask you, share this with another mama in your circle. If things that stood out to you on this podcast and you're like, oh my goodness, I have a person in my life that I know this is going to benefit them, please share this podcast with that mom. And also, if you could go and leave a review, reviews mean so much to us podcasters. That's how we can spread the message and reach more people. If you can leave a review, I would love for you to do that. And thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you were here and you got to spend a little bit of time with me during your day.